So welcome to this quick introductory video to the stamp stack using the Autumn Goodness stamp set. Now if you've ordered the stamp set, hopefully you will find that in your kits along with all the things that you need to create 6 cards to each of 3 designs. So let's have a quick look at what is in each of the cards, what's in each of the envelopes, and any tips and things along the way. So card number 1 is here with this wheelbarrow. So you've got I've done all the die cutting, but obviously you'll need your stamps. So this one I have stamped on the wheelbarrow shape and on the wheel with crumb cake, but obviously if you haven't got crumb cake, then another colour will be fine. I've stamped the flowers with Memento, and I've actually coloured these ones in with my blends, and if you look carefully you can see where the die cut around the edges are. This bottom bit I've actually coloured in with crumb cake, and this top edge I've coloured in with Seaside Spray, I think it was, and I've put Seaside Spray on the back and some grey granite on the bottom just to give a background. Obviously you can colour this in with things other than blends, but if you're using different sorts of pens you might want to use a different ink. So I've used Memento because I'm using my alcohol markers. If you're using water-based inks you might want to stamp your flowers in Stays On. You've got a little bit of wispy gold thread just twirled behind this flower before I stuck it on. Both the wheelbarrow and the flowers are with dimensionals, they're raised up on foam pads, but this little wheel is stuck directly to the card. And you've got your layers of stitched rectangles, and you've got your little heart. So in your kit you'll have a blank like this for your flowers, you'll have a blank wheelbarrow and wheel, you have your little heart, your gold thread, and your 3 layers of stitched rectangle, granny apple green, witch raspberry and white, then your card base and your envelope, and you've got 2 of those. I didn't actually use my mask in the end, I don't think, but that obviously was a mask that I'd created. So let's put 2 of those to one side. So 2 of those will be in your kit. Now, when it comes to actually stamping on your blanks, what you might find slightly easier, and this is a blank that for a spare blank for one of the other cards, what you might find easier, I'm just inking this up with Bumblebee, is actually to sort of line your die cut onto your stamp and give that a press. You might find that easier. If not, you can just line it up by eye the other way, but that's just sort of lining your die cut up with your stamp, just in case you find that easier than sort of lining your stamp up with your die cut. Either way will work, whichever works best for you. So that's the first card. This second card is indeed using these little wheat sheaves. So what I've done is you've got a strip of Whisper White card in there, so I've gone along and I've stamped so I stamped one solid image, and then I stamped another solid image, and then before I re-inked it I went in and I stamped a second generation image between the 2. Let's just find a bit of scrap card. I'm not using this. Let me show you what I mean. So I stamped my first, these might not come out brilliantly because I'm not got my foam pad underneath. So I stamped the first, inked it up again, stamped the second, and then before I re-inked it I went in the middle and stamped a second generation, and then you just get, obviously you've got colour coming through on that, but you get your idea of your sort of wheat sheaves in the background as well. So I went along the length of that piece of cardstock, stamping and going in and doing second generation in the gaps. I then did take a sponge dauber, bit of sponge or whatever, and just very gently sponged over the top and filled in any white, just so that it gave a sense of a hole. I then took my scissors and just sort of snipped along the outline. I wasn't too fussy about it, just snipped along the outline. You've got a piece of the Seaside Spray that's been embossed with the subtle embossing folder. You've got some clouds. You've got your fence. You'll find your fence isn't long enough to go all the way along, but you have also got two die cut wheat sheaves that you can put in the front there. You've got some twine, and I've just wrapped that around a couple of times and tied it in a knot there. And then with the little stitch rectangle, I've stamped the sentiment on it, and again I've just sponged around the outside of that. You've got a soft suede layer there and a bumblebee cake, and you have actually got a piece of white card that you can pop in the inside, and you can stamp onto that as well if you want to decorate your inside. So that's that one. As I say, you'll have all those bits and pieces in there. You've got your piece of linen thread, you've got your card base, your background, lots of wheat sheaves, 3 clouds, stitch rectangle, as well as your bits for stamping and things. So that's all there ready for you to go. So 2 of those. And last but not least, we've got this one. So I used bumblebee on that, but obviously you could use any yellow or a pale brown or whatever to make stamp your wheat sheaves. With this one, you've got your pumpkin pie background, you've got this embossed layer, you've got a strip of DSP. Now you've got 2 different patterns. So one will have the green in it, and the other one has got this orange and yellow in it. So they both work with the colourway, but you've just got one in one and one in the other. You've got your scalloped pumpkin pie, you've got a stitched circle, a white circle, you've got your little bit of braided linen thread. I've stamped this. I actually stamped this one with brown stays on and coloured it with watercolour pencils, but again, you colour it whatever colour mediums you've got. I put down some different colours. This one was orange with a bit of yellow, and then used the blender pen and blended that out. Added in a bit of red to the apples. So yeah, just had a bit of a fun with the watercolour pencils on that one. A little bit of Cajun craze along with some crushed curry here. So yeah, so that was, as I say, watercolour pencils and a blender pen, but you use whatever you have to hand to do your colouring in. I stamped the greeting onto the end of the little strip of white card that you've got, and what I've actually done is I've stuck that to the underside of this white card before tucking it in between the 2 circle layers. So that's all there, and then you're on a white card base. So for each of those, as I say, you've got one will have a green tartan strip, one will have a more orangey one, but you've got your embossed layer, your pumpkin pie layer, your scallop circle, your little bit of a greetings tab, which I've then stuck in between the 2 circles like that, and your bit of thread to make a bow. And again, you've got 2 cards there with the same basic design, albeit slightly different paper. So I think that's everything really you need to know on that one. Obviously, if you have any questions, do come back and ask. I'm more than happy to answer them, and if you find you're any bits missing, they should all be there, but if they are, do shout. So enjoy your Autumn Goodness Stamper Stack class.